Hey guys, it's Julesy, and it's been a spicy few weeks. But let's get back to the topics that matter and leave the playing fields of anti-intellectualism behind, because there are things to discuss. And smart brown girls, don't forget the shot smart brown girl, deserve these important dialogues. So let us commence to having them. Hi, I'm Julesy, head smart brown girl in charge, and if you're new here, welcome to the party. Be sure to subscribe, and I need everyone to hit that like button and comment along, because this is a dialogue and a discussion that engagement helps so much. You know, support your Cash App, Patreon, shop smart. Oh, you can't even see my shirt, girl. Zora Neale Hurston, shout out to her. Now, this is a request from the homie Tim, who I still need to come to St. Louis to visit, but he's part of the Smart Brown ooh boy collective. I see you, all of you out there. So we're gonna get into this discussion because it's been in the news, and I'm sure we all have some thought. Now, I did a video a few months back, and while I look a little crunchy in it, it definitely is a word about the college admissions scandal and the privilege that allows our mediocrity to flourish. You should definitely go watch it. Now, Felicity Huffman, who was part of that scandal, having paid $15,000 to a fixer who doctored her daughter's SAT answers, Huffman has now been sentenced to 14 days in jail. And it hit the news headlines with a bang because many of us can recollect to at least 2 black women who have been sentenced to much longer prison times for falsifying their home addresses in order to give their children access to better public schools. They didn't pay anyone to falsify test scores. They didn't pay their way into exclusive programs, but they were essentially taking a spot over someone else. These black women used their father's home address because their child was being bullied, or used their babysitter's address because they were homeless. And they did this to put their children in better public schools and received years-long sentencing. Now, if you look at the case of Tanya McDowell in Connecticut, the homeless black woman who used her babysitter's address, McDowell was sentenced to 5 years in jail. And part of that was due to drug charges. But even when you dig into that, there's this whole setup of surveillance and the school districts and police departments pursuing these women because they were putting their children in public schools. But she did receive 5 years in jail, and then the babysitter temporarily lost custody of her own children, having been kicked out of her public housing apartment, forcing her to move out of the state, all because a child was enrolled in a public school with her address. Now, in Akron, Ohio, Kelly Williams Bolar enrolled her daughters in the highly ranked school in neighboring Copley Fairlawn School District. Ooh, girl, you know I can't pronounce nothing right. Sorry. She could not afford to move to the area, which is how most public schools are purposely zoned to keep lower class, and more specifically black and brown neighborhoods are zoned out of school districts, and they increase property taxes in these areas, and they make sure the housing is expensive to keep neighborhoods insular. I mean, you can look at the case of Dallas County and how, what is it? Is it Lakeland High School area? Lakeland area is zoned in the center of Dallas outside of the rest of DISD. Now, Kelly used her father's address, her father, who the kids were spending a lot of time with, she used his address to enroll the girls. Tell me this ain't laden with racism, because the school district, we know how little teachers get paid. We've been paying attention, like the teacher boycotts and stuff. The school district hired a private detective to follow her and prove that she did not live in the school district. They then ordered her to pay $30,000 because how dare she enroll her children in better public schools. And when she refused, they filed criminal charges against her. Now, Kelly was sentenced to 10 days in county jail and put on 3 years of probation. And probation comes with its own set of fines and fees. It's really not as much of a slap on the wrist as we would like to think it is, especially for low-income people. And all this sentencing was carried through until former Ohio Governor John Kasich commuted her felony convictions to lesser sentences. Is it Kasich or Cash? Whatever, girl. Now, the way the system works so adroitly to snuff the life out of black and brown communities is really just disgusting. But here's my real spicy take on this whole situation. Felicity Huffman does not deserve jail time, nor did Tanya McDowell or Kelly Williams Bolar. I am very much so pro abolishing the prison system we so heavily rely on in America. I know that might sound radical to quite a few of you, but it's a thought out ideology. And especially when it comes to non-violent crimes, there are so many other ways to net out restitution and have Felicity in particular pay her penance for the fraud she committed. Because 14 days in jails provides no restitution for anyone. It costs taxpayers money and allows a system of privilege fraud to carry on until it gets caught again with another slap on the wrist. And if you're the snitch who caused the downfall of it all, there really is no punishment. You get to watch the whole train wreck happen from the comfort of your living room. You have to remember how the whole Varsity Blue case was discovered. A father who was caught up in serious financial white-collar crimes gave federal prosecutors a tip about the college scandal in exchange for leniency in his case, where he was likely to face prison time with $1 million fines. Like, it was serious. The wealthy can wiggle their way out of the harsh negative impacts that being entangled with the criminal justice system often burdens and cripples the backs of poor black people with. Now, or just poor people in general with. If not jail, what do I think should happen? Well, we need to dismantle the systems that really allow this to happen in the first place. Girl, I have hoop dreams, I know. In the case of Huffman, there are so many pay for enrollment schemes for the wealthy that really do need to be done away with. The wealthy embroiled in the Varsity Blues scandal should all pay very hefty fines that go to poor public school districts, fines that become funding for underserved children enrolling in college, or scholarship funds. They should lose access to opportunities. Their children should be removed from the colleges that their parents bought admission for. Tanya McDowell, her babysitter, Kelly Williams Belore, and her father should have faced no jail time. If caught, put the children back in their zone school district, but also we need to reverse, and I'm about to take it real political here, we need to reverse the Citizens United Supreme Court ruling that allows independent expenditures set up by nonprofits, individuals, and or corporations to donate uninhibitedly to political campaigns, which is what makes a lot of our campaigns so expensive now. We need to get that reversed, which means we need to get, the orange popsicle out of the office in 2020. It also means that in what ways we counter that is we have to support people from our communities to run for the local school boards. And that also means that we have to support people from our own communities, people with integrity that we trust. We have to support them and encourage them to run for local school board and state legislators, and then motivate our communities to turn out and vote and to stay engaged with what's happening on your school board, what's happening with the state legislator, who controls the zoning in your city and area. There are all these apparatuses in the structure of your local county and state politics in which you can impact, but they heavily rely on the idea that the communities most heavily impacted by their policy will also be the communities that don't pay attention to the policy that's being passed. Community investment definitely matters from very, very local elections. And that Citizens United thing really has made, I lived in Dallas, and Dallas school board elections are extremely expensive to run for. These apparatuses that ensure only wealthy white people get to control power, whether it's on the policy level, whether it's even within the school system level, it's really relying on the fact that we stay disengaged. Okay? Because the school segregation is really a huge underlying problem in all of this, particularly when it comes to the black mothers who have been trying to get their kids into better public schools. In particular to this situation, what does prison time get us? What are other solutions we can derive from the wealthy who are caught up in this? What solutions benefit the larger community without relying on carceral state that nets much harsher punishment to the black community and having a much wider negative ripple effect in that community? What other ways can we hold Felicity and her ilk accountable? And is prison really the only solution for that kind of justice? Or can we think of other ways to make that accountability that, Felicity Huffman and the lady from Full House and all the rest of them whites who got caught up in this, they should absolutely be held to. But I really, really want to push us to think about accountability that impacts a deserving community. Doesn't just allow us to, but I really want to push us to think about accountability that nets a restitution that provides a positive impact for deserving and underserved in general and overlooked communities.